All right, I'm back. After a depressing video, I'm going to do a video that's a bit more upbeat and pragmatic, and I'm going to talk about fitness because lately I've been looking in the mirror and looking back at me is this chubby figure, and I find that off-putting. And if there's one thing in terms of self-improvement that I have achieved before, it's having been fairly fit, and thus I know the path fairly well, and I know that it's something I should be able, not only that I should be, I can achieve and I can maintain. It's not that difficult. It only requires a little bit of discipline. So what I'm going to do, my plan is to cut back on my calories, keep myself within my allotted 2,000 calories a day. If I stick within sort of a margin of a few hundred calories on either side of 2,000, I find I begin to lose weight fairly rapidly at a steady rate until I get down to a fairly low body fat percentage. And then if I restrict myself a little bit further, then I can get down to the appropriate 10% body fat percentage, which for a man is probably around the optimal range. The reason I say the optimal range is because within a few percentage of 10% body fat for a man, your testosterone levels are going to be at their highest. It's not the only thing. There are lots of things that go into having high testosterone levels, but certainly that's one of them. Your estrogen levels will go down because you keep a lot of estrogen in your fat. Too much estrogen for a man is not necessarily the best thing, and high testosterone levels is correlated with a lot of things like thinking more clearly, feeling more confident, having a greater sense of wellness. It's a bit of a buffer against depression because when you have high testosterone levels, your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone, I guess, they have an inverse relationship. So if you have high testosterone levels, you sort of necessarily, I suppose, are going to have lower cortisol levels. And that's a great thing because cortisol makes you feel stressed. It's sort of the fight or flight hormone that puts you on edge and makes you feel a little bit more morose. And it makes it very hard for one to buckle down and put off gratification. So having higher testosterone levels makes it easier for one to focus and to, I suppose, be tough, be gritty is a unscientific way to put it. I'm not an endocrinologist. I'm not a scientist. I just find it pretty interesting. And so a while ago, I was doing a lot of research about endocrinology because, well, I found it interesting and I was into fitness, and I found that testosterone is a pretty good metric of your overall health. So if you can sort of try to optimize that, everything else sort of falls in place. Your body composition in terms of how you look, your mental health, certainly, because both will affect each other. Having good mental health will affect your testosterone levels, and having higher testosterone levels will have a positive effect on your mental health. As a man, I think as a woman, it's a bit more about balance. I think that to a certain degree it is for men as well, but I think that if you reach for high testosterone levels, a lot of the other things, a lot of the other hormones as well will fall into a better place, a better range. So I restrict my calories. I lower my estrogen levels, and I do what's called intermittent fasting because it's fashionable. No, because it's been proved seemingly to be very beneficial and to work very well. I've done it before, and it works for me for fat loss and also for feeling good. I actually found that while I was doing intermittent fasting, the first few days are a bit of a struggle because you're not eating for a portion of the day. There's a few different ways to do it, but I think the normal way, and the way that I did it, was just sort of don't eat for the first portion of the day, and a smaller portion of your day for eating. I usually like to not allow myself to eat up until about 3 or 4, and then I usually close myself off around 8 or 9, and that seems to work well. And within that parameter, I try to stay within my allotted 2,000 calories, which is fairly easy because you've restricted your time period. Some people do only eating 1 meal a day, and if you're eating a 2,000 calorie meal, that can be a pretty large, satiating meal with a few different courses. So as someone who is a bit of a pig, who likes to feel bloated and stuffed at the end of a meal, I find that extremely satisfying to be able to still get that sensation of satiation, but still have the gratification of looking at myself in the mirror and over the course of time see myself looking better and better, which is fantastic. So I do intermittent fasting, and then for gain of muscle, because what I am really after is body recomposition. It's not so much weight loss, it's loss of fat and gaining muscle. So presumably one will stay about the same weight unless one is obscenely obese, and I'm not quite there yet. So to gain muscle, what I like to do, again, my paradigm is testosterone optimization. And the great thing about testosterone is that it actually helps build muscle. So you work out to gain testosterone, and then your testosterone helps you right back and helps you gain muscle more rapidly. So the way that I do that is I have I do compound exercises, so I use many muscle groups. I don't do isolation exercises like just sort of, preacher curls, where you're just sort of, you have a bar here and you're just sort of curling back and forth. That really isolates your bicep, and to grow your biceps, that's great, but it's suboptimal for testosterone production. So I try to do bigger compound exercises like chin-ups. A lot of different muscles are involved in that type of exercise. So I do that, and I try to keep my sets in a medium rep range. Traditional sort of bodybuilders like to do it really, really heavy and really low. Apparently that's not optimal for testosterone production. It's probably better than too high. So then on the other end, you don't want to do anything more than maybe 10 or 12 reps, because then you're really getting into lean muscle and endurance, and that's not great for testosterone. So you maybe want to keep your reps in a loose range of 5 to 10, and so people who are really anal will do 7 or 8, and there's dispute about which is the best. I stay within the range of 5 to 10. Doing large compound exercises. And another thing that I have learned is that apparently one doesn't want to go to point of failure. You want to go just up until that point, but you don't actually want to fail. And that makes sense to me from a perspective of testosterone and what that represents, because to me it's like the hormone of the successful, the hormone of the conqueror. And when you fail, you're not conquering. I don't think it's a positive thing for your brain. I think a lot of testosterone optimization also works in the brain, in your mind's eye. If you see yourself succeeding and being a conqueror, your levels of testosterone are going to go up. And as as you have higher testosterone levels, being a conqueror and a successful individual becomes easier, because it boosts your confidence and facilitates certain types of thinking. I think I've pretty much outlined my philosophy. For any naysayers about sort of wanting to look good, I think there are biological reasons why people find certain body types attractive. I know that a lot of people are pushing for the idea that attraction is very much sociological, so society tells us what's attractive from a young age because of Walt Disney movies. There's certain body shapes that we're exposed to at a young age, and things that we see on billboards and things like that I don't know, subconsciously embed themselves in our brain. But I think that there is more robust studies on the other end showing that there are biological reasons why we are attracted to certain body types, and they have to do with health. So someone who has, I'll talk about men for the moment, so men who have broader shoulders, slimmer hips, and striation in their abdomen are likely going to be healthier specimens, and therefore it would make sense for women to want to breed with that kind of specimen. And so I think it's normal that people react differently to fitter people. You know, I think even other men respond to men who fit those proportions in a more positive manner, because they seem like they're on top of their game, biologically speaking, and in an intellectual way, non-biologically, it seems like you're on top of your game, because we know in this day and age especially, it takes a certain amount of discipline to be fit, and to make the time and to inculcate certain habits into one's life to look a certain way. So if one is fit, one probably has one's head in the right place. So that's why I'm not letting fitness take a backseat to anything else. I think it's a very important component of overall wellness. It helps one's head, and it's bound to help one achieve one's goals in business and creativity and whatever else. Yeah. Anyway, I know these videos aren't rehearsed at all, and they're not edited at all, and likely soon I'll change that, but for the moment I'm not. I don't have many viewers, but this is almost more of an exercise at present. So anyway, thank you.